motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping me motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Keep all the real niggas motivated. Keep all them little niggas motivated. Maybach 600, it drove her crazy. Sure they gon' do it, she motivated. I've been neglecting the rover.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Smooth Podcast, simply motivating others onward through hope. Here to the left of me, I have an entrepreneur just like myself who I enjoy a lot of his restaurants. I enjoy a lot of his food. Here to the left of me, Welby, a.k.a. Trap. What's going on?
What's going on, man? What's going on, people?
So Trap reached out to me, and when he did reach out to me, I thought to myself, wow, like, you know, this is definitely someone in Providence that a lot of people know, and a lot of people probably know him from different avenues of life. We'll get into like kind of all those lanes, but I think that this is going to be a hell of an episode, and he has a great story. Speaking about your story, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised Southside Providence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rhode Island, lived on Atlantic Ave, and then moved to like the West End.
Okay.
I grew up in the West End like most of my childhood.
Okay.
And then, you know.
And how was like your household growing up?
Oh, mom and dad, man. So, dad worked at a chicken factory, just slanging chickens and packaging chickens. Then he turned into an entrepreneur, like literally 2 years into that. And he owned a bodega, like a little Spanish market. And he was there for like 8 years. And then my mom joined into the market, and she was the chef in the market. So she kind of did like, you know, like those plates. Like, you know when you go to a store and they got the rice, the beans, and the chicken? My mom put that in the store, and then that's how like the market got, you know, the business got bigger and bigger because my mom kind of joined. But, you know, mom and dad in the household. I got a little brother, Joe. Everybody knows him, St. Joe, and then I got a sister named Anna. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, shout out St. Joe. I'm going to get him on this podcast. I just don't want to get canceled before I get started. I'm going to figure a way to get him on here, but that's my guy. And so, you know, it sounds like you were growing up in a household that, like, you know, people were cooking, not only cooking for themselves, but they were cooking for others and stuff like that. Did that influence you to later on kind of, like, perceive a passion in cooking?
Well, I never had a passion for cooking. So I was raised in the streets. So you already know, like I got introduced to like, you know, drugs and shit. So I was banging, slanging, and then, you know, like.
And how old was this? So like, is this high school? Or is this a little bit after high school?
This is like literally like the beginning of high school.
Okay.
So, you know, like I never really had like a passion for cooking. I just knew that my mom and my aunts, my grandmother, like they all cook because they're Dominican. So you know how Dominican households are. They cook like their ass off. So
and you know, the nickname Trap, was that before or was that kind of during this whole process of you being in the streets?
Trap, I got way before. I got trapped from some dude in New York. Like, so my cousin's from Brooklyn. He came down to visit me when I was like 12. He's a little older than me. He's like 15. I was 12, and he brought this dude that was like freestyling, and he came up with this word trap, and it meant different kinds of hustles. So like, you know, he used to do like, he'll be like slanging coke and weed, and like, you know, he was a DJ and he was doing a whole bunch of stuff. So he came up with, I don't know, he just said that this word trap, and I kind of like clicked onto it. Like, damn, you know, like I was in the streets. At the same time, I was selling candy bars for like this Students Against Drugs organization where this guy picked us up, and like, you know, we sold candy bars. So then I started DJing. So I kind of had different money income at that time. You know, that's like 12, 13, 14. So yeah, that's where the name Trap came from. So at first, my first DJ name was like Well Wars, and it just didn't go right. And then Trap, because my name is Welby. So then when I heard Trap, I'm like, yo, I like that. You know what I'm saying? And then this is like way before like Trap was even existing in the music industry. You know what I'm saying? Way before Jeezy, way before like T.I. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah, man.
And so DJ Trap was, you know, presented. When did you take DJ kind of serious?
I took DJing serious like 13, 14 years old. Because, you know, Dominican parents love music. So I was into like old school baladas, bachata, merengue, and, you know, raised in like, you know, like in the United States, America, like, you know, you get like tuned with like what your parents like and then what's mainstream. So me, I'm a hip hop. I'm a 90s hip hop. So 90s hip hop was like my shit. And then I brought that and like what my parents like. And my mom like, yo, you really like music? And I'm like, yeah. So she got me a tape deck. That's my first. I got 2 tape decks. So I had cassettes where I was like mixing from one song to another, fast forward, rewind, and trying to mix in. And then she got me turntables with a mixer for my birthday when I was 14. And then from there on is when I like took like DJing to like, you know, like this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
And, you know, when you're doing the DJ thing, are you still kind of in the streets at the same time?
Yeah, man. So, you know, I started selling bud when I was like 14, 15, like in high school. Like my cousin was like, yo, man, you gotta make like fast money. And I'm like, how? He's like, boom, you know, he gave me some stuff, and then like just telling people word of mouth and being in parties. I used to do a lot of house parties in Pawtucket, South Side. Then I used to do, I remember before Mi Sueño was La Palma back in the day. I used to do La Palma, and then like, you know, just talking to people like, yo, you know, I got bud. And yeah, and when you start at 15, 16, as you get older, you start knowing a lot of people. And I was just slanging for a minute, man, until I got backed up, man. Once I got backed up, I had to stop.
And when you say bagged up, like what were you actually caught with?
I got caught with an eighth, $5,000, and then the intent was to serve an eighth.
That would be like a slap on the. You get like a ticket nowadays.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
And I did 6 months for that shit. 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did 6 months for an eighth.
For an eighth.
But intent to deliver though. Like I was literally selling, and the narcotics caught me and my my, you know, my custody pretty much just in the action. Like, and then they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just selling CDs. They're like, no, you're not. You got $5,000, and you know, we smell the weed. We caught your guy with the weed, and I just wouldn't talk, and then they just gave me 6 months. So.
And now during that 6 months, like what was that experience like?
Oh man, jail changed my life, man, because it's like, you know, you appreciate freedom, man. Like your freedom's literally taken away from you. Like from the moment that you get backed up, like you get one phone call, you get like the worst food ever. Then as soon as I got backed up, I went into intake. In intake, I was locked up with like murderers, rapists, like, you know, people that sold like heroin. So you get backed up with everybody. And I'm like, bro, I'm just selling weed. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it was an experience, man.
Can you tell us anything that like notably crazy happened during that 6 months in jail?
Crazy?
Well, I don't mention any like actual names, but like
no,
events
like,
that happened.
Like crazy. So there used to be I was in minimum. Minimum is a eight man room. And in the 8-man room, I had a gay dude named Jimmy. In my room. Cool ass dude, man. Like loved him to death, you know, mad respectful. Yo, to this day I wish I could see him, because he was like mad respectful, mad cool. So he used to smuggle in a lot of narcotics into the jail because the COs won't check him because he's gay. You know what I'm saying? So they really didn't check him. So he would bring in like cigarettes, you know, all this shit. So I remember one day he snuck in some, I don't know what they're called. It's not weed. It's something else. It looked like a beanie. You know what a beanie is? Like those little cigarettes that's wrapped in leaves, but they're not. It's not weed. It looks like a Garcia Vega, but it's wrapped like a joint.
Okay.
I don't know what they call it in jail, but it wasn't weed, and they were smoking that shit. But that shit gets you like fucked up, and it's mixed in with, I think it's meth and weed. I don't really know what's in it, but I just know that it's a narcotic, and they found it, and they told us that we got to get out of the dorm. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, nah, everybody get out. Whether you was taking a shower or whatever you was doing, you had to get out. We was outside for 3 hours, and they tore down the dorm. Like everybody's drawers was on the floor, and you know, it was 3 hours. They had to check everybody's fingerprints. So that was like insane, man, because it's like, it was freezing at that. I got backed up in September. So September, October, November, December. It must have been like the end of November of like 2011. And yeah, man, it was freezing. They kicked us all out, and they had to check every single person in minimum. And when they found out the people that had the narcotics in their hand, they got like seg for like 4 days, and then they got more time. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the craziest stories.
Was there any like notable fights in there at all?
There was fights, but it was like petty fights, like, somebody trying to take somebody's sneakers, or like somebody owed money. Now, because there's no money, everything's with commissary. So like somebody owed commissary and they didn't want to give it to them, or like beef in the streets, somebody's brother, got shot or something. It's like petty beef, nothing crazy. The craziest was like that dorm, because I remember like the SWAT team came in with like guns and like, everybody get out, like swearing. I'm like, oh, what's going on? They're like, everybody outside, we was outside for like 4 hours, man, like cold, and they're like, they didn't care. Everybody had to get checked. So yeah, man.
And now during that time when you're sitting down, like what are your thoughts on what you're gonna do after you get out? I mean, DJing something that, if you have a criminal record, you can still be a DJ. Yeah. So like, was your mind like, oh, I need to like take that to the top, or was your mind elsewhere?
So I was still, when I first went in, I still wanted to sell bud, because I was killing it. I'm like I'm gonna get out of jail. What am I gonna do? Like, if I get caught again, maybe like another 4 months or maybe a year. Like I didn't think I was gonna do more time if I get backed up again. So I still wanted to sell bud, but my mom had ALS when I was backed up in jail. So my mom got diagnosed in 2006 with ALS. You know what ALS is?
I know it is. Do you mind explaining it for our viewers, though?
Yeah. ALS is the Lou Gehrig disease. It's a disease where the brain and the central nervous system like disconnect from the neck down. So your brain, your eyes, your ears, your taste buds is all fine, but from the neck down, your body's paralyzed. Yeah. So my mom got diagnosed in 2006, and you could see that her health started declining, but they told us what it was. I didn't really know what it was, because I was in the streets doing what I had to do. But like, I knew my mom was getting sick, but I didn't know she was gonna die from this. You know what I'm saying? Like at the time, because I'm like busy in the streets, like I had a girl, whatever. So 2010, she got operated for a trach in her throat, stomach, and for the urination, and she was bedridden. So I got arrested September of 2011. So she was already bedridden. So when I was in jail, I couldn't see my mom, and I couldn't like call her. She couldn't come visit me. So I went to the pastor at minimum, and I'm like, hey, is there any way that we can arrange something for me to go see my mom? He's like, why? I'm like, my mom's sick. She got ALS. He's like, oh, why would I have to go visit her or whatever? And he went to visit her he was like, oh my God, your mom, when he came back, he's like, yo, your mom is a sweetheart. Like, she didn't even talk. My mom used to talk with a board with letters on, and you had to like point, and she would blink. She would blink like twice for a letter. So it would take time to talk to my mom because of that, like that situation. So he was there for like 3 hours, the pastor, and he loved my mom, fell in love with me. He's like, yo, you're going to get a furlough visit. But I just can't give you the exact date. I just know that the captain or like one of the high COs is going to pick you up at your job, and you're going to get a visit. So I was like, sued, because I'm like, I love my mom, and I couldn't see her. You know what I'm saying? So I was at work one day, and my boss, like the CO that was with us, like, yo, you're gonna go visit your mom today. I'm like, get out of here. He's like, yeah, they're gonna come pick you up. But you can't tell nobody. I'm like, who am I gonna tell? That you can't tell like your inmates that are working with you can't tell nobody. So they picked me up. I went to go see my mom. It was like a 2-hour furlough visit. In that visit, my mom wrote to me, I don't want you to sell drugs no more. I want you to be a chef. And I'm like, damn, like that just came out of left field. And she literally wrote it, like it took me like 40 minutes, and she was blinking. Like she said in Spanish, mi hijo, yo no quiero que tú vendas droga, which means, son, I don't want you to sell drugs. I want you to be a chef, because she was a chef. And yo, from that visit on, man, I changed my whole perspective of like what I was gonna do when I got out of jail. Literally from that visit forward, I'm like, I'm not gonna make my mom feel bad that I'm gonna sell drugs again. So I literally got into chefing. So as soon as I went back, started learning about Gordon Ramsay, Thomas Keller, like what is a Michelin star, what's a James Beard Award, like all this thing about chefing. The day I got out of jail, I remember February 1st, 2012, I signed up to the Genesis Center right there on Potters Ave. And I took a culinary course and I aced it, man. And it's been cooking ever since, man.
Literally.
So the passion came from my mom. I just didn't know I had it in me. Because before I went to jail, I didn't even know how to cook. I didn't even know how to boil an egg. But now it's like, you know, I've cooked with so many great chefs that it's like, yo, man, I could make like a 5-course, like fancy dinner for anybody, you know what I'm saying? So
and now, do you kind of think like spiritually she's there with you whenever you are cooking?
100%, man. I feel her all the time, man. Like especially in the food truck, you know what I'm saying? Because like she passed away 2017, so like the trap box is like I felt her there because I know she wants me to cook, so her inspiration is always there, and I know that she's guiding me to be like better at my craft, 100%. Like DJing, she really didn't like me DJing because I was out till like 2-3 in the morning every night. You know what I'm saying? Drinking,
get home all drunk.
Drunk, bringing girls to the house where she was living at. She didn't really. She wasn't a fan of it, but that's how I was making money. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But now that I'm a chef, she's like, I know she's with me.
So you get out of jail, you take the cooking course, you pass, and now let's fast forward to Blend in Cranston. Can we fast forward there? Is that kind of like, so first off, I was a huge fan. I was there a lot, as you remember.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
What led up to you? Now, you didn't own it, or you did own it?
Yeah, I owned it.
And you were leasing from the building.
Yeah, I didn't own the building.
Right, you were leasing, but you owned Blend.
I own Blend the name.
So can you tell me the steps on how you even made that possible?
So yeah, when I got out of jail, you know, I had some money stashed because I didn't spend all my money. You know what I'm saying? And then, I was cooking, and you know, before you open a restaurant or before you get into any business, you got to know that business first. You can't just like, I'm not a barber, so I'm not going to open a barber shop if I don't know how to cut hair, because that just doesn't make sense. So I'm like, yo, let me go train. I trained, you know, I went to a couple restaurants, and then I was working at Not Travis Joe's in Warwick Mall. I opened that Not Travis Joe's with a couple chefs, and my father called me. He's like, yo, there's an opportunity at this restaurant on Reservoir Ave. Let's go look at it. Some fitness girl just got out of there. And I'm like, all right, we looked at it. I'm like, damn, this is pretty nice. It's small. It's intimate.
I like the setup, though. But
yeah, the setup was dope. It had an upstairs.
Yeah, that was
dope. The front with the window, you know what I'm saying? With the board. It was dope, man. So it was intimate. And then after like a week of like thinking about it, I told my dad, I'm like, let's do it. So my dad was like my silent partner because he owned the store. So he was basically like giving me the products that I needed to open Blend. So like once I thought about it, I'm like, yo, there's no spot that has like a modern Dominican like fusion. There's none. But the only thing that sucked is that I didn't have liquor. And liquor is number one in restaurant. If you know business, right, you know what I'm saying? Henny don't go bad, but chicken goes bad.
Right.
So Henny you could sit for 100 years and it'll be delicious after it, but chicken you gotta.
The markup is just
exactly. The markup is crazy. So that's the only thing that sucked about Blend. Like I didn't know the business of restaurant.
And now you couldn't have gotten a liquor license at all?
Nah, because of the felony that I had. Because I just got out of jail. Cranston wouldn't give me like they wanted. I don't know why they wouldn't give it to me right away. I guess they wanted to see like what I was doing there. But because of my felony record and literally like I got out of jail 2011, I opened Blend 2014, so 3 years. Even though I didn't get in trouble, it was still kind of fresh.
And now, like, looking back just at that aspect, like, if you could go back in time, would you have had it under maybe, like, your father or your mother? Because they didn't have the felony?
Well, I didn't know. So
you didn't know that was even a thing.
Exactly. Like when I went to the board,
I
didn't even know. Like I was like, damn, let me try to apply for the liquor license.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, you got a felony. Like you can't. You gotta wait.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, damn. So if I would have known,
right,
I would have put it under my brother or my sister or my mom or my pa.
Gotcha.
I didn't know. So I opened Blend 2014. I applied for the liquor license like a year later or like 8 months later. So, but they wouldn't give it to me. I had to wait.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, Blend, you know, with the money that I had stashed up, I kind of calculated what it was going to cost me. It cost me a grip, but, you know, people loved it, man. It was
And so your actual, like, getting it up and running and stuff like that, and actually kind of like your monthly, so the up and running and then the monthly cost of running the restaurant. Can you give me both of those prices at that time?
So the up and running, like, opening day was like $60,000. That's like, you know, renovations, equipment.
Because it was nice in there too. Yeah,
it was nice, man. And I designed it with my girl. My girl was kind of like, you know, yeah, no, because you know how girls are. They're like picky and like, so I kind of got her opinion because I kind of wanted to be like for like my like generation, like people that are my age, a little younger, that go in there and feel comfortable, especially women. You know, women like to go out and eat and have, you know, whatever drinks or whatever. So I kind of want her opinion. But yeah, it cost me like $60,000 like from opening day, and then monthly I would say like overhead like $4,500.
That's not horrible.
That's not bad, but I wasn't getting paid. So like,
well, the other thing, you know what I'm thinking about too? I'm thinking about like the clubs and lounges. The biggest thing with that is like you're just getting all food and drinks. Like liquor's not a thing. So
yeah. So I didn't even have
different.
Liquor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had like 2 employees, and I had me, and I paid my cook that was with me because I needed help. I paid him, but I wasn't really getting paid. Like after like 6 months, I started paying myself because I'm like, yo, it's starting to pick up little by little. But like overhead was like $4,500, $5,000. You know what I'm saying? So,
and now during like I guess its busiest times, what were you actually profiting a month?
So I didn't really profit at Blend. So you got to understand, the food business is a little tricky. You need 3 years of like either negative or like breaking even because you got to build your clientele. See, that's another thing I didn't know. So like I didn't make a profit, but at least I broke even. Like I might have been like negative a tiny bit, but my dad was giving me most of the products at the price that he was getting it at. So like if I needed like cilantro, he was giving it to me like at his price. If I needed meat, he was giving it. I just had to pay the bill. He wasn't charging me no profit, you know, where he wasn't making no money because he's like, yo, it's my son, you know, I'm gonna help him out. So, yeah, I really didn't make any profit at Blend. I knew after the 3rd year, once like, you know, more people word of mouth, because that's what got Blend popping, was the word of mouth. People go in there and be like, yo, the vibe is dope, the music is dope, the food is good. So little by little, I would see new people come in. So, but yeah, I didn't really make a profit there at all.
And fast forwarding a little bit, you ended up moving Blend.
Yeah, I ended up moving Blend.
And now, can you talk to the viewers about the kind of steps that you decided to partner with somebody to do that?
Yeah. So this restaurateur from Federal Hill, a lot of people know who he is. He came a couple times to eat at the restaurant. Like I knew him from back in the day, you know, going to the clubs because he owns a bunch of clubs. I knew him, but I didn't really like personally know him. My friend Heidi knew him personally, and Heidi was like my front of the house manager at Blend. You know what I'm saying? She was like taking care of the customers, making sure the plates look good, because she worked with a lot of like great chefs in a bunch of restaurants. So, you know, she came in and she's like, yo, Welby, like your food is like delicious. Like the thing that you're doing with like American fusion and like trying to blend like, you know, like that Dominican food, like, yo, your food is good. I'm gonna bring my friend over here. So I guess he came and like, you know, tasted my food and he's like, yo, this is dope. Like he came like 3 times and he's like, yo, every plate that I had at Blend Cafe were amazing, but there's no liquor. So he didn't know that it was BYOB. So he would go there and he'd be like, damn, I wanted like a glass of wine or like a sangria. His girl wanted a cocktail and I didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of approached Heidi on like, do you think Welby is like sufficient enough to like run a restaurant? And she's like, yeah, like Welby's worked for some good chefs. He opened up Not Your Average Joe's. He's killing it at Blend. His brunch is like almost packed every Saturday and Sunday. And she told him, yeah. So I guess he came back and he's like, yo, let's talk. And I'm like, all right. So we talked and he told me, he's like, hey, you know, I got this spot in Federal Hill that, you know, just closed down. I had a spot, it closed down. It was a pizza place. Come look at it. Let's just come look at it. It has a bar. I'm like, all right. So I went to look at it. I'm like, damn, the bar's dope. You know, the kitchen was dirty, but I kind of look in the future. Like after you clean it, like the kitchen is dope. The movement, everything, the basement had like a prep kitchen. So I went up in there and I thought about it. So I talked to my dad, I talked to my girl, and I talked to Heidi. And we talked, and they're like, yo, this is a good opportunity for you because you'll be partners and you have liquor now.
But what was the actual opportunity that was presented to you? Like when you say partnership, like can you kind of indulge on like what exactly was being offered?
Yeah, of course. So what he offered me was 49% of the new venture.
Okay.
So I'll be 49% owner and he'll be 51 because he's putting up all the money to fix
Everything that's
the
going
new
on.
building. I'm like, of course, but he's going to take my name, my recipes, all the customers that I was gaining at Blend.
But did you know that from jump?
What do you mean?
Like when you say taking the name, that means that Blend like is no longer yours.
Well, if I was going to be 49% owner, I'm going to be 49% owner of the new Blend.
Of the new name.
You know what I'm saying? Of the new name. But the new name wasn't the same name as the old name. So that's where I learned business real quick because Blend Cafe and Blend PVD are two totally different entities. It still has Blend, but Blend PVD LLC, it's his own entity, and Blend Cafe, it's his own entity. So he can still, like, you know what I'm saying?
So we'll get into that. So before, he puts up, he puts all the renovations in the spot. Things are going good at first, I'm assuming.
Where at Blend? Yeah.
Yeah, on the hill.
Killing it.
And now where do things get fuzzy?
So what happened was he gave me, after that first contract, he kind of like calculated, he underestimated how much he was going to spend at that location. He said, sell Blend on Reservoir first. Once you sell that Blend, come to me, call me. And I'm like, yeah, but it has to be the contract that you gave me. He's like, yeah. So, once he told me that, I put it up for sale. It took me 3 months. In those 3 months, he was already not fixing, but he was already like renovating, planning out what he was gonna do at that Blend. He's like, I'm gonna take Welby's concept and and the name, and I'm gonna put it there. So in those 3 months, he calculated he spent like under 200, like 180,000. So he's like, yo, I spent too much money. I need some money up front. And I'm like, yo, but that wasn't the deal.
Right.
Like, that wasn't what you said in the beginning. You know, say, oh, but, then the contract has to change. And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, yo, if you give me like 80,000, I'm like, how do you want me to come up with 80 G's like off the rip? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I sell Blend on Reservoir, I'm gonna pay off all my debt. I'm not gonna get really left off with a lot of money. Like, I don't got 80 G's just to, oh, well, then I don't know what you want to do because the contract has to change. I'm like, then change the contract. It just has to benefit both of us. It can't just benefit you because you're taking my recipes or whatever. So,
but was that contract signed initially?
No, the first contract wasn't even signed.
Oh, okay.
So I brought it to my lawyer, and my lawyer said, this is a good contract for you because you're going to be an employee. You're going to get a salary for being a chef. Plus, you're getting 49%
of the business.
Plus, it kind of benefits you and him. Mm-hmm. I guess he was playing fair. But once he went in there and put the money up, he kind of like, damn, I'm spending a lot of money. So he came back. He's like, yo, I need 80,000 up front. And I'm like, nah, I don't got that. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, all right, well, the contract's going to change. So like a week later, him and his lawyer came up with a contract. Now he gave me the new contract. He's like, make sure you get a lawyer to read it. I'm like, all right. So I got my lawyer to read it. My lawyer's like, do not sign this contract.
And what would that contract kind of say? What was the red flags in that one?
So the contract had a 49-mile non-compete. So if I get fired or if I quit, I can't open or work in a 49-mile radius.
Was the non-compete in the previous one?
No, it wasn't.
So that kind of, I mean, in hindsight, you can obviously say it, but that kind of showed you that he's already kind of thinking that I might not be here for too long.
Yeah.
In hindsight, you could say it, but in that moment, you're probably just thinking, oh, it's a new contract.
I'm just thinking it's a new contract, but I didn't even know what non-compete meant. You know what I'm saying? My lawyer's the one that told me. He's like, yo, you got a 49-mile non-compete, so if you get fired or you quit, you can't work. I'm like, bro, that's like the whole state of Rhode Island. That's like outside of Rhode Island. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, on top of that.
And how long does that last for, the non-compete?
I think it was for 4 years.
Jesus.
Or 3 years.
Jesus.
It was something like that. So I couldn't
So
cook.
if you got fired,
couldn't just cook. I could work in another thing. I just couldn't cook as a line cook anywhere in Rhode Island. Or
For
open
4
a
years if you got fired.
Yeah, if I got fired, if I quit. I'm
That's
like,
so
damn,
crazy.
bro.
That's so crazy.
Whatever. So that's the first red flag. The other one was that I couldn't rehire any of my previous employees. So like my cousin Brenda was working for me, or any of my servers that were working for me at Blend Cafe, they were coming to this blend, and I couldn't rehire them. Another one was that I wasn't an owner no more. I was an employee, and I get 20% of profits. So when the business makes money,
that's when you start.
I get
collecting.
20% of that. So I wasn't even an owner no more.
So you kind of say, "Hey, my lawyer is saying that there's too many red flags. I don't like
I called
this."
them.
And then what?
I called him. I'm like, yo, man, like, my lawyer said don't sign it. He's like, tell him that you want to meet with him and his lawyer and me. Let's us four sit down and come up with a contract that kind of meets in the middle, because this contract kind of benefits him more. So he owned all my recipes in the new contract. All the recipes that I created at Blend, the name Blend PVD, he owned. All the plating, if I plated it, the way that it looked, I can't plate it again, like in another restaurant.
Wow.
He owned all that. So he owned all the copyrights of...
If you sign the contract.
Yeah,
though,
the old blend and the new blend. So any plates on the old blend, he would own, and the new blend. So my lawyer's like, let's meet with him. And I'm like, all right. So I told him, like, yo, let's meet up. We met at one of his restaurants, and we sat down, and my lawyer was like, hey, look, Wubby's not going to sign this contract. Like, we've got to renegotiate because it kind of more benefits you than him. And he was like, no, like, I'm spending too much money. Like, the least I can do is, like, I could give him 35% or something like that. Or I could give him, and the non-compete, I could drop it to like 10 miles.
Did you already put your restaurant for sale?
My restaurant was already sold by this time. By this time of me negotiating the second contract, I already sold Blend Cafe.
So you're treading water at this point.
Pretty much, I had no job. I had nowhere to go. Like, I was dependent on this blend to open. But
so there's part of you that's like, damn, this isn't the contract I want, but I need to like start working.
Yeah, I need to start working because I need to make money.
Wow.
I have my daughter too. My daughter was like, I don't know, like 7 months at the time. So whatever. So he's like, my lawyer's like, look, let's do this. You already got blend renovating. It's about to open. This was like, we opened in July. This was like the beginning of June. He said, you already got blend renovating. You don't have a chef. Let's do a 90-day trial. Wubby's gonna work as the chef at Blend, and after 90 days, we'll negotiate the contract. I'm like, that sounds pretty fair. He's like, well, but you don't got a job. You might as well open it with him, because where you gonna work? He's gonna pay you the same salary that the contract said. He was like, I wanted to pay him the same salary, but we'll meet in 90 days. Like from like June. So once Blend opened, 90 days of that date, me, my lawyer, him and his lawyer were gonna sit down and negotiate that second contract, because the first contract already went to trash. So I opened Blend, was in there, killing it. It was packed. Oh my God, that place was so busy. I couldn't keep up, man. It was too many people. I remember one Saturday we served like 732 people, bro, the whole day, from like 12 to like midnight. Like, so many people. There was a line like out the door and like crazy. So, like in those 3 months, everything was good until like the second month. He brought in a sous chef from one of his restaurants, some Mexican guy or Guatemalan guy. And he said, yo, this is going to be your sous chef. But I already had a sous chef. Like, I trained a sous chef. He's like, nah, he's going to be your line cook. I want this guy to be your sous chef. And I'm like, why? He said, because he's a beast. He's been working with me for 25 years. He knows how to cook. He's fast. And he's going to, like, help you in the kitchen because it doesn't seem like you could keep up. And I'm like, all right. So this guy came in right there. I'm like, something's shady here. Like, something just don't feel right. Because, like, the guy was cool, but, like, why do I need him? I could have just got somebody. I could have got somebody that I knew. That I work with in another kitchen to be my sous chef. You know what I'm saying? He's like, nah, this is going to be the guy because he's a beast and all right, whatever. So training him. Once he caught on to the menu, he started giving me Saturday nights off. So he's like, oh, you and him are gonna switch Saturdays so you could be, so you could have family time and he could have family time. So like one Saturday he closed and one Saturday he opened, and then vice versa for me. So I would open a Saturday evening like at 4, and then he would come in like at 3 and then close the restaurant. So we would switch every Saturday. So I remember like in October, so July, so October. I remember it was the weekend of the Christopher Columbus, and that was. So he texts me. I was in the kitchen, but I was getting ready to bounce. I already made plans with my girl and my family that we was gonna go to Dave and Buster's or whatever. And he texted me. He's like, yo, I gotta talk to you. He sends me a text. He's like, meet me in my office as soon as you're done breaking down. I'm like, bro, it's 4:00 and I gotta leave at 5, and I gotta be somewhere by like 6:30. Like I don't got time to sit down and talk. Like let's do this tomorrow. And then he never replied until I was at Dave and Buster's already like playing with my family. I get a text at 9:00 saying, you always put everything before this business. You put everything before this business. Like you're incompetent as a chef. You can't keep up. I try to bring you ideas about like tres leche, because I was making tres leche, but I was making it from scratch. But we sold out too fast. He tried to get like another baker to bring it in, but it tasted disgusting. It didn't taste like my mom's recipe. That's my mom's recipe. It didn't taste like it. So he was trying to say like that I couldn't keep up, like we were selling out of food. The food was too high, that he has to rearrange like the food cost because the food cost is too high. I'm like, bro, the food cost is not high. It's like 29-30%. And he's like, nah, you're selling out too fast and this and that. You're fired. Bring me the keys and the credit card tomorrow. And I'm looking at this message like, what?
And now, real quick, that whole big thing that you just said, was that like just in a few texts?
Nah, it was a long paragraph.
So one text, right?
Yeah, so he's I guess he's
like that, and he's like that.
Yeah, so
That's
he seen like that I wasn't gonna go meet with him, and he got pissed. Because he wanted to sit down and talk about, like, I think he was gonna fire me because he sent this long ass text and then, whatever. So once I got the text, I'm looking at it like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started calling like the line cooks, and I'm like, yo, everything's good over there? They're like, yo, everything's fine. I'm like, you sure? I'm like, they're like, yeah. So then, that was Saturday night. So then I put 2 and 2 together. Payroll ends on Saturday and starts on Sunday. So he needed to fire me Saturday night because the new payroll week starts on Sunday. So he didn't want to pay me for that the next week because I was salary. So he had to pay me regardless. So he fired me. So Sunday morning I go there and I'm like, yo, so let's talk. He wouldn't answer my phone. Nothing. So what I did was I gave the sous chef the keys. I gave him the credit cards. All of a sudden, my recipe book is missing. The recipes for blend, that's just gone. I can't find it for like 2 days, 3 days. Like I try to go back and try to look for it. I can't find. All of a sudden, my prep cook, her name is Merlin. Shout out Merlin, man. She's like one of my good friends, helped me out. But she told me, because she stayed there. And just because I got fired, I wasn't going to take anybody with me. So my prep cook and my other cooks that I knew, like personally, they stayed. But I got fired. So I kept calling them, like, yo, is my recipe book there? They're like, nah. All of a sudden, 2 days later, it shows up. She called me. She's like, oh, your recipe book is, I found it. And I'm like, you found it? She's like, yeah, but I checked. I'm like, that shit was taken. Like, come on, man. Like, that shit was taken. Whatever. So, boom. And then I put up a post just, like dogging him. Like, because he painted this picture, like, he was going to make me, like, this famous chef. And, we was going to open up the dopest Dominican spot on the hill and, like, the hookah and all this. And I'm like, bro, just because we were busy because we were a new concept, and you got I'm not saying I'm a dope ass chef, but you got a chef that was a DJ that got followers like crazy. I came from an old DJ background, DJing. Of course, the place is gonna be packed from the first 2 months that we were there. It's hookah, it's drinks, and it's Dominican food with a fusion in it. Of course, it's gonna be packed. But he like, nah, that he's trying to say that I'm one of the worst chefs that ever worked for him. I'm like, bro, you gotta be kidding, bro. Like, I was cooking from scratch. I was not like dibbling dabbling, or like everything that we made was from scratch, bro. So
Well, what I will say is I was somebody that was somewhat privy to like the backstory that you just like explained, kind of not as in depth, but like in a shorter version. And when it comes to me, my friends, my girl, and I tell my girlfriends like we don't support that other restaurant at all. Just,
Oh, you don't?
just no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't step foot in it.
No, nobody. And
I wouldn't step foot in it.
There's a lot of people that thought like
and
that.
and my girl, my girl is just like she's like away from everything, so she's like, what the heck. But I'm just like, nah, like the person that runs it and what he did to someone that I do know, it's messed up, and so I'm not gonna support anything like that.
Now a lot of people thought like that, man. So
And now, so fast forward, like you gotta feel down and out at that point.
I was hurting.
What gives you the idea for Trap Box, and what exactly was Trap Box?
Okay, so Trap Box. So after that, I had to get a job. So I got fired, started working for like a whole bunch of chefs, and just gaining more knowledge. And I ended up at Blackie's. You know Blackie's?
No.
In Smithfield?
No.
Oh man, everybody gotta go try this out.
Blackie's.
Man. Blackie's is a really good restaurant. You got Chef Angie Armanise. She's awesome chef. She cooks for like allergies and like dietary. Like if you're allergic to gluten, she has like a whole gluten-free menu. If you're on a diet, she has like this whole like clean living. The restaurant's out of this, everything's made from scratch. So I ended up at Blackie's working for her, and then she was at an old spot. She was at a little spot that had 100 seats, and then she bought a building on George Washington Highway, the old Crickets. So she was moving in there, and at the time I was a sous chef. I was a CDC. CDC is chef de cuisine. I was a chef de cuisine in Sharon, Mass. And she's like, hey, I need you to come open up the new Blackie's. You want to be a prep manager? And I'm like, yeah. So, the new Blackie has like 350 seats. Beautiful. Yo, they must have spent like $3 million in there. That place is gorgeous. Go there. I'm telling you, bring your girl there.
Yeah.
Go there and try it out. So I was there, and then pandemic hit. March 2020, right? Yeah, March 2020. So the pandemic hit, and I'm like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen? Like, I knew I was in DR at the time. I didn't even think about a food truck. I was in DR 2 weeks prior to the pandemic hitting, and all the restaurants had to close. And chef came to us, and she's like, hey, you guys gotta apply for unemployment. And I'm like, why? They're like, because we're gonna close. Like, she didn't even know what was going on. Like, she didn't know if she was doing takeout. She can't do in-dining because all the restaurants are closed. So I applied for unemployment. So we got accepted right away. I got accepted right away for unemployment. Like 2 weeks after the pandemic hit, somebody was like making noises outside my house, like, construction noises. And I'm like, yo, what's all this racket? Like, what's going bing, bing? And I'm like, yo, what's going on? I go outside, put some pants on, I go outside to my neighbor. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Oh, I'm sorry, my nephew's building a food truck. I'm like, what? And then boom, I'm like, food and truck. So I went and talked to him. I'm like, yo, what's up, man? What you doing over here? He's like, yo, man, I'm just working on this food truck. It's my first one. I'm trying to build a food truck, like, building company where he builds food trucks for people. And I'm like, yo, man, like, we should do something. He's like, yeah, man, take my number down. I just got it. I'm only like a 2 weeks in or a week in. I just got this truck. And I'm like, all right. So, I started talking to my brother, my sister. Joe was like the first one I told him, like, yo, Joe, man, like, the pandemic hit, like, restaurants are closed. Let's get into this food truck business. And he's like, I don't know, man. I was like, how much you need? I'm like, it's not going to be a lot, what I'm saying? Because homeboy's going to lease it to me. He's going to give me the truck, and I just pay him monthly. And I called the dude. We made a deal. I put her, me and my sister kind of became business partners, which is a bad idea. Don't do that. Family and business just don't mix.
Tough sometimes,
it's tough,
yeah.
man. So, me, I talked to my sister. We collaborated. And then I didn't know what to name the food truck because at this point, I haven't been DJing in like, I don't know, it's been like 8 years, 6 years since I like actually like got off a turntable. And like, I'm like, damn, what am I gonna name this food truck? I don't know what the concept is. Once my brother and my sister gave me the okay, I started like jotting down. So then I'm like, I don't know what should we sell? So what I thought was burgers. Everybody likes burgers. Everybody likes tacos. Everybody likes chicken sandwiches. And everybody likes, there's no truck that sells Cuban sandwiches. And my Cuban sandwich at Blend, the old Blend, not the Blend PVD, the Blend Cafe. My Cuban sandwich at Blend was a hit. Like, I sold a lot of that.
And now, how are you able to kind of like step the no compete clause?
Well, I never signed the contract.
Oh, because so the new contract that you just signed didn't have that.
Yeah, because my lawyer said just let's meet in 90 days, and he fired me on the 88th day.
Gotcha.
He kind of calculated it.
Gotcha.
He's smart like that.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He calculated on the 88th day, I'm gonna fire Welby, and the Carlos, the guy that he brought in, trained to be me.
All right.
You know, so that's why I said something was fishy here. When this dude came in, something was fishy here. Right. I kind of knew, like, not kind of knew, but I kind of predicted that something was gonna happen in the future after me training this guy. That I was gonna get fired. You know what I'm saying?
So when did the name finally hit you?
So Trap Box. So I was just writing things down, and I'm like, damn, like everybody calls me Trap. Everybody calls me. My cousins, my brother, everybody calls me Trap. And then you know that song, The Box by Roddy Ricch?
Mm-hmm.
So my little nephew, he's like 3 or 4 years old. He's singing this song, The Box, and I'm like, yo, what song is that? He's like, you never heard it, Theo? I'm like, nah. He put it on, and I'm like, The Box, or whatever. And I'm like, yo, Trap Box. And then the truck literally looks like a box. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yo, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So then I started designing. I went to my designer. I got a designer named Skrilla from New York. He does like mixtapes and shit. So he's like, he did my last mixtape, The World's About to Blend. So I hollered at him. I'm like, you ever done a food truck? He's like, nah. And you know,
now the designs came out dope.
Yeah, man, the design came out
real dope. So a little question about the name Trap Box. Like, you know, you weren't a little bit skeptical on like, yo, if I name my food truck Trap Box with me having a felony, cops aren't gonna hassle me like that. Like, you never thought about
because
that?
Because by this time, like, I saw weed, bro. Like, weed is not like, you're not killing people selling weed. Like, you're killing people selling dope. I didn't sell dope. I didn't sell coke. You know what I'm saying? I might have tried once, but it wasn't my game.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still kind of like a, and this is just like a pushback that I'm kind of getting. Yeah. It's not a little bit like, you're kind of like intimidating them. Like, it's a legit orange truck that says trap. Like, trap. Everybody knows what trap means. It's like box. And it's like, I'm serving everyone. Like,
I thought that at first, but then I'm like, once they see who it is, they're gonna be like, yo, it's Trap. Like, I didn't really call it Trap because of the name Trap. It's Trap because everybody calls me Trap. And then like the song, The Box.
So how was that? Like, did cops give you a hard time with the
truck?
truck?
Man, cops used to come to the truck to eat. I had the detective, the narcotic that bagged me up, bro. I seen him at an event, and he's like, damn, bro, you got a food truck now? I'm like, look at who it is. And he's like, damn, man, you got a food truck? I had to give him a burger, man, because, like, you know, I'm not, even though the situation was, like, messed up, like, you changed my life because, like, if it wasn't for me being backed up, I would have never been a chef. I would have still been DJing or, you know, whatever the game is right now with weed. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and now, you know, the Trap Box, I was seeing it everywhere. And now recently, you know, you've closed it. And what were some of the factors into that decision?
So, like I said, the family dynamic, me and my sister being business, I love my siblings to death, of course.
There was some disagreements in business.
It's just a lot because, like, she's worked in the customer service industry, in the bank. I'm a foodie, like I'm a chef, I'm a foodie. I'm working in the back of the kitchen. But I already got like 12 years professionally cooking. So I know how to run a restaurant because I've been trained by people that know how to run restaurants. So the food truck game is different, but it's kind of the same. You still got to know your food costs, your drink costs. You got to pay taxes and stuff like that. So I can kind of predict. When I have a business, I could predict some stuff. So I would like give her advice because I put the business under her name, just so it just didn't have any conflict with like my felonies or anything that I had in the back. around like anything with this dude, and I don't know what was gonna happen. I just didn't want to put it under my name, so I put under her name. But I'm like, yo, just I'm gonna guide you on what you need to do because I already been through it with Blend Cafe.
Right.
There's some shit that happened at Blend that that I wish that I knew from somebody else. But now that I got a food truck, which is a smaller business, I could probably handle this. You know what I'm saying? So just family dynamics. Like I love it. We got into a lot of disagreements. She would buy things that we didn't need to buy, and I'm telling you, every penny counts. Like in business, like. Every penny counts. I don't care what anybody says. You run a business, man, like every dollar, every penny, every dollar counts. So, I would get mad about that. And, just like it got worse and worse and worse, like the relationship between my sister. And I didn't want it to get to a point where like me and her hated each other. So I'm like, yo, like that's one factor. Another factor is the inflation that we're in right now. Like it's bad out there, and people don't realize. People are spending money, but eggs is high, man. Lettuce is up. Like I remember, like the gallon of the fry laters. You know what a fry later is called? The oil used to cost me like $21, like 2 years ago. That shit is like $39 right now. So it's like, what I'm saying? Like everything's going up. Propane up. So everything was going up. So now the prices have to go up on the food truck. But nobody wants to pay $19 for a burger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Coming out of a food truck. Like a food truck's supposed to be like kind of cheap.
Cheaper, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, the inflation going up and like, just the way that the economy is going is just I just had to decide like we was already in debt. Why am I gonna make myself in more debt? And I wasn't even making money. Like I wasn't even getting a paycheck. And I got a family to support. Like I got a stepson, I got my daughter, I got my girl. So like, as a man, you got to provide. And I was like, I'm not going to work 50 hours, 60 hours in a food truck and not even get a check to even pay the rent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like benefit. I wasn't making money. So the type of concept that I was doing for Trap Box is more like a sandwich shop. It's not a food truck because food trucks got to be quick. Like if you go to a food truck, you don't want to wait 20 minutes. And then there's a long line, you got to wait 20 minutes, or some people waiting like an hour. Like I go to Food Truck Friday, people are literally waiting like an hour and a half to order a burger. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, nah.
And now, where you're at now, fast forward to present time, Feast and Fiddle, right?
Yeah, Feast and Fiddle.
I really like what they're doing, and it's kind of like, if I could predict anything, I definitely predict, I was talking to my cousin who works for Feast and Fiddle too, like they're going to be expanding and kind of like all over like New England and then kind of dabble into New York, I guess, potentially.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself growing in that aspect? Do you see yourself growing with that company or are you kind of...
100%. That's one of the best companies I ever worked for because they dedicate a lot to the employees.
That's what my cousin was telling me.
Like you get benefits, you get food for free, man. They pay for your gym.
Yeah.
They feed you on like a weekly basis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the vibe in there is dope. Like you could put your radio on. You just got to do your job, man. Like they hire like professionals. So it's more like a prep aspect instead of like a line, like a restaurant. So like a restaurant, you go in with your girl, you order. The server goes back, puts the order in, and then you get tickets. Like, this is not that. This is like all the orders come in on one day, and then the chef kind of breaks down all the orders. So we're serving like 4,000 people a week.
Wow.
So he breaks down the order, and he just breaks down the prep by days.
Yeah.
And I work like Saturday through Wednesday, and he'll be like, my boss will be like, hey, well, but you got like 3 projects you got to do. You know what I'm saying? But the company itself, I see myself growing like, I want to open up kitchens with them.
Right,
like if they go to, I know they're about to go to Connecticut.
Right.
So if they go to Connecticut, like I would love to go there and train that staff. And if they go to New York, I would love to go to New York. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully they go down to Miami because I want to go to Florida. But the company's growing and it's growing fast, real fast.
And something that I'll give you all the credit in the world for is starting off like making the fast money from selling the drugs to, earning what society would call a honest, pay as a chef. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be able to do. Like you said yourself, when you were first going into prison, you kind of were like, once I get out, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
However, after the conversation with your mom, you changed. But one of the toughest things I believe for anyone to do is to kind of like take a step back in cash flow, in lifestyle. What were some, but obviously your mom, but what's some, I guess, pointers that you can give out to some people who maybe are doing things for money and they're making a lot of money, however, it's not the actual right thing to do? What's something you could tell those people about kind of shifting into a more positive way of life, even though, the money might not reflect the same?
The same. So for people that are out there making fast money, invest. I would say invest, but like, think about like if you're making fast money, what are the outcomes of like you making that fast money? Because there's a price for everything. Like if you're selling in the streets, man, like you're either gonna get locked up or you're gonna get shot up. That's like the outcome of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I've done it. I've went to a high school. What's the high school next to Central?
Not
the P something. It's like a career school. What's that high school right next to Central? It used to be a vocational school.
I'm not sure.
But whatever. That high school has a career school.
Yeah.
So I know the chef personally because I work with her at Not Chavez Joe's. And I told her, I'm like, yo, let me go in there and just kind of show a plate. And I want to talk to the kids because that's where you get it. That's where you get the kids is at like people that sell drugs is at an early age messing with the wrong people. So I'm like, yo, let me go in there and kind of tell my story about, me going to jail and like, maybe like give them like a spark or like inspiration of like, like that's what happened to me and this is the outcome. So I would do that. Like I would go to like schools and kind of just give speeches about my upbringing and like my chef career and stuff like that. But I would say, yeah, like if you're making fast money, man, like there's outcomes to that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's either gonna, you're gonna go to jail or, you could get killed or you could get robbed or stuff like that. So I just say like, it sucks to make slow money, but at least it's safe. You know what I'm saying? Like just watch your expenses, you know what I'm saying? Save some money, invest money right now. That's what everybody's doing. So.
But I just commend you because that's actually like the hardest thing for people to do is to kind of like take a step back like that. You know what I mean? Like,
but cops ain't playing right now.
Right.
Police are not playing, man. They're bagging up anybody that's selling like hard drugs. So,
And another thing I wanted to know is I feel like you've kind of been able to maneuver through life the way you have because of your kind of promise to your mom, and she's definitely like an angel up there that's like helping you kind of maneuver through life. Because that run-in with the neighbor, that sounds so like once in a million type of thing that it's like there's no other way to explain it.
I'm glad that you caught on to that because I'm thinking the same thing. Like, did my mom put that there?
There's no other way to explain it.
Right?
There's no other way to explain it.
Right. And I'm like, yo, so yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and then like I'm telling you with this Feast and Fiddle, like you mentioned it, but then my cousin, she works from that, and I kind of been doing some digging, and they're just so vibrant and fresh, and like I can just tell that they're gonna like be something like big. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of being early onto that is I'm happy that you're gonna be able to grow.
I want to make that company grow, man. That's the CEO is awesome. He's like this young dude. I think he's like Cape Verdean. It doesn't matter, but like he's young. He's like positive. He's not an asshole, like dealing with like, with owners that are like right. So like he's positive. He's all about that good vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he dedicates a lot to his employees.
Right.
Like, yo, I remember like when I first started there, I had the food truck. And I went up to him, I'm like, yo man, you don't mind if I come over here and just like park and try to sell to the employees on my deal? Because they got like 150 employees in there. So he's like, damn, I don't make that decision, but let me talk. I don't make all the decisions, but let me talk to the team. Literally, bro, like 3 hours later, he sends me a DM. He's like, hey, me and the team talk. We're gonna pay for everybody in the building to come eat at your food truck, and you're just gonna park
That's
here.
crazy.
Literally, he's like, come park, like,
nuts.
and we made a flyer, food truck Friday at Feast and Federal. I went and parked the truck. Friday's my day off. I parked the truck, literally served like 120 employees. Everybody was soup. They paid for everything. Like that's the type of vibe that he's in. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
He's a dope dude, man. So, you know, this company's doing great, man.
A couple of questions before you leave. What's your most regretful purchase?
Regretful?
Yep.
Oof, that's a hard one. Regretful? Damn. I'm going to have to say Blend Cafe, man. Yeah, man. Like, I wish that I took my time more to, like, know that business and, like, actually get the liquor license and, like, even though I learned a lot, I wish I would have held off to open up something, like, bigger 2 or 3 years down the line, because I think I would have been, like, really successful at that spot. You know what I'm saying? Even though I learned so much, I just wish I didn't rush it, because I kind of rushed. Like, I need to open up a spot because there's no Dominican spot. Like, I was rushing it with my brother and my sister and my dad and my girl. Like, I wish I kind of just hold off. So, yeah.
When it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
Yo, I like to be remembered as, like, humble dude, man. Like a trendsetter, man. Because I remember DJing, man. Like, there wasn't a lot of DJs that were doing, like, Spanish and hip hop in the same, like, parties. You know what I'm saying? So I would blend in, like, you know, like reggaeton with, like, hip hop and, like a lot of these. There will only be, like, DJs that do hip hop and DJs that only do Spanish. So if you wanted, like, a hip hop and Spanish night, you would need to hire two DJs, one that's Spanish and one that's hip hop. But, like, me, I was like, yo, I could do both, because I love hip hop and I have a Spanish background. So I remember I would get hired and they'll be like, yo, you're like the only DJ. I was young too. I was like 16, 17. You're the only DJ that's actually doing, like, two. So, like, that's where the name Blend came from too. Like, me blending in, like, you know, the Spanish music with the hip hop. And when I dropped mixtapes, I would try to, like, blend in, like, Spanish music.
Like I said, Ness introduced me probably to you and to, you know, the restaurant, and we went there. I went with him at least 3 times, and, you know, I
Ness
love
was
that.
a fan
I love
there
that spot.
too, yo.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah,
spot.
man, like, I would like to be remembered as, like, you know, humble, good dude. You know, I never burn nobody. I never, like, you know, stab anybody in the back. Anybody that knows me know that I'm not even that type of dude. I'm like a man of my word. So if my word is bond. So if I say something to you, I'm gonna do it unless things happen. But, you know, I'm a man of my word, humble.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, man. How long you been promoting? Like, doing like Sunday nights like that?
So, my first event that I did by myself was actually in Boston in 2012. But in Providence, I first started promoting October 2013, and it was on the hill.
And you're from here?
I'm from East Providence, yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went to college in Boston, and that's why I did my first event out there.
Yeah.
Rent was crazy out there. Came back, and then
No, I was another question. Where do you see yourself now going? Like, doing what you're doing? Like, what's your end goal of that? Like, do you want to open up your own spot?
Yeah. So I'll never say never. I don't see myself opening my own spot. There's a lot that goes into it that I'm probably gonna delegate, like, that time elsewhere.
Yeah.
However, like, you know, I'm the general manager at a spot on the hill called VL, and you know, if things kind of work out or move forward and I'm able to have part ownership in that, I would be open to that, because I'm already kind of, like, ingrained in that. Starting fresh, I'm not sure if I would open. It just comes with a lot. You know, you gotta be there every day. And, you know,
sacrifices.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So I don't think I would. Which a lot of people, you know, I get asked that question all the time. Like, when you open the spot,
you'll kill it, man.
And you know, my girl, she wants to actually open a spot with me, but it's just one of those things that it just has to be, like, a perfect situation.
Yeah.
Cause, like, other than that, it's like I kind of like being able to, like, tell people go somewhere. I go somewhere that night and I leave.
Yeah.
Like I'm not dealing with like what staff was late.
Yeah, breaking down the cash box. Yeah.
Mind you, when business is good, they make out the most, which they should. So it's like hand in hand. But it's just like where I'm at, and I'm kind of dabbling in a lot of different things. I don't really have the time to allocate to it, but maybe one day. So right now, I would tell you I probably won't. However, like it could change.
Yeah. You never know.
It could change.
Are you only there now?
Yeah. So basically, I'm at VL. But in my whole VL contract, I told them like my brunch at Paris on Sundays. Like I'm keeping that.
Yeah, that's
that's
a good
I gotta keep that.
Where's VL?
Right on the hill. It's right next to right in between Nara and Opa. Right in between. So dead middle of the hill. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You gotta swing by.
Gotta swing by, man.
It's
swing
real
by
nice
with my girl.
Yeah.
All right.
Now before we get out of here, if there's anyone that's kind of watching this and they just hit a roadblock, or they got like a left turn that kind of drew them back a little bit from the road to kind of success, and they're kind of feeling on their ass right now, what's something that's like motivational or something that's true to you that you can tell that person to kind of put them back on the right track?
Hey man, everybody fails. Even Jordan fails. Jordan failed a whole bunch of time, and he's the greatest of all time. So just you fall, get back up. You fall once, 10 times, get back up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just gotta have motivation. Like you gotta have that in you. It's like cooking, man. Like I say, everybody can cook, but like real cooks that I've known, like
it's in them.
It's in them, man. Like they have passion. Like you gotta have like drive for that. Like if you don't have drive for like the things you're going for, like you're gonna fail. Probably gonna stay there. But like if you like really believe in yourself and you got it, like keep going, man. Like you're gonna fail. It's gonna happen.
Right.
Every successful entrepreneur, every billionaire has failed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Jeff Bezos has failed.
Right.
Bill Gates has. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you drop, man. Just work out that situation, get back up, man.
Right.
See what you could do next. Like, go with the trends. That's another. My sister taught me that. Like, you got to go with the trends that's like out right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, do that. So.
Well, I want to thank you for stopping by.
Of course, man.
That was a wonderful episode. Y'all stay smooth out there.